I hope every one of you are fine. This is my first class, and I had decided to start the current affairs series for 2024. I will take 10 classes each of the subjects which are very important for us. For example, polity and governance, ecology and environment, economy, science and tech, and security. These five subjects I will discuss the current affairs from last 1 year. As the medium of this class would be mostly English, but where I cannot speak in English, I would try to explain that thing in Hindi, as I'm not that well versed in English, so I would mix it with Hindi. I would had chosen Hindi only for this class, but I'm not that good in Hindi either. So I would mix it and try to explain these things, the current affairs. और दूसरी बात है कि as I had prepared these PPTs during those times also when during the period of that month, so this PPT I had prepared way long before. So you know there are many news which were very much at basic basic concept was given and that matured by time. So if you will stay with me by the end of the 10 days, you would come to know everything, almost everything which had happened from last previous year. So let's start with our first topic. It is related to the 7th schedule. So first we should know why it was in the news. What was the reason? Usually 7th schedule is the most hot topic for the UPSC also, and usually you will see this every day. Not every day, maybe after 2 days, 3 days, you will see the things related to the 7th schedule every time in newspapers. So what was the reason why I chose this that time? It was the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. They had an analysis report of the working of the 7th schedule. So it was presented. First, we will I will little bit discuss about Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, as you should know that it is an independent body constituted to give advice on economic and related issues to the government of India, especially to the Prime Minister. This can be do either suo motu or by the reference from the Prime Minister or anyone else. As you know, here you don't have to know that much about this. It will come when we go through the class. When we go through the classes, it will come definitely. All these advisories would come. The things which were in news, everything will come. But right now, our focus is the 7th schedule. First, we should know where it is constituted. If you had studied the constitution very well, then you might be knowing, you should be aware about it is in the chapter 1 part 11 of the constitution. Usually it is comprised in part 11. We have the relation between union and state relations. We have a full discussion over it, how financial relations are dealt, how powers of legislation between union and states are there. Everything is well explained in this part 11. You have to remember this may come in the exam, while in which part we find the 7th schedule. It is part 11. So which article does describe us this? It is the article 246, which describes us the distribution of powers between center and state and responsibilities as enumerated in 3 lists. Usually here in this article we are given 3 lists where the distribution of powers, where center can legislate, where state can legislate, where both of these can legislate, and which are kept residuary. So all this is described in Article 246. Now let's move to the next slide. What are these lists? These lists are union lists. It contains 97 entries. For example, if we will see what are the entries, few of them armed forces, for example, arms and ammunition, atomic energy, foreign affairs, war and peace, citizenship, extradition, and etc. Now, what is this union list? In this, only central government can legislate. State government has no right, no, they cannot legislate in these matters. So they are kept to the center. And similarly, we have for the state we have state list. There we find 66 entries. Which are these? These are public order, police, administration of justice, prisons, local government, public health and sanitation, agriculture, animal husbandry, water supplies, and irrigation. So, here I would like you to go through the entries, and I feel like this local government, it may be asked in which list it is in. Is it in central list? Usually there are many articles which we will go ahead and discuss about local governments, and it is the hot topic for the UPSC. They may ask this question in which list this is found. Similarly, then the third list which is given there, that is concurrent list. Concurrent list consists of, usually it consists of I had I think wrote only 47 entries, but I guess it is 52 entries in the concurrent list. Maybe, yeah, I guess it is 47 to 52 entries. In it, we have marriage and divorce, transfer of property, other than agricultural land, forest, protection of wild animals and birds, prevention of cruelty to animals. Education is there, as education is in all the three lists. It is in state list also. Is it in education? No, I'm sorry here. Education is in the concurrent list. So education is actually in concurrent list. We have protection of wild animals, birds, prevention of cruelty of animals, and bankruptcy and insolvency. There are many things which we find in concurrent list, as it is mentioned. 47 to 52 items are there. So uh, a question comes to us: why do we have concurrent list when we have the balance of, you know, we have proper balance, that we have the entries which are for state, entries which are for center, but why do we need concurrent list? So I had found out there are majorly four reasons to we had concurrent list, which is, it was to secure the uniformity of policy at the national level on select subjects, so that national standards of law and administration can be evolved, and at the same time to promote local uniqueness and efforts to encourage diversity. What is this, to promote local uniqueness? For example, every state has their own tradition. So why we have confirmed this, that every state will make laws regarding them according to their tradition, according to their diversity, which, yeah, very importantly, that should not collide with the central laws or with the constitution. That was to maintain the diversity, for the flexibility in development and regulatory policy, remedying the adverse consequence of state policy beyond its boundaries. So what we understood from this slide, we have three lists. One union list, here we have 97 entries. We have state list, we have 66 entries in it, and we have a concurrent list in which we have 47 to 52 entries. In union list, for example, which are likely to be asked, may be asked, armed forces are in union list. Arms and ammunition is in Union list. Atomic energy, foreign affairs, war and peace, citizenship, extradition, railways, shipping, and navigation. This might be asked because it was in the news. Airways, it was in the news. Postal and telegraph, it was also in news recently. Telephones, wireless, broadcasting, currency, foreign trade, interstate trade and commerce, banking, insurance, control of industries, regulation, development of mines, mineral and oil resources, and etc. So similarly, in state list we find prisons, local governments, public health. We find sanitation, agriculture, animal husbandry, water supplies and irrigation, land fights, fisheries, land rights, fisheries, money lending, land revenue, taxes on agriculture income, taxes on lands on buildings, estate duty, taxes on electricity, taxes on vehicles, taxes on luxuries. Similarly, in concurrent list, what are the items which you should remember? Marriage and divorce. This may be asked because we have Article 42 which deals with the Uniform Civil Code, and it is very hot topic for this year's prelims. So why uniform civil? What is the relation here? Because it does deal with the civil laws, and marriage and divorce are one among them. It might be asked in which list we find marriage and divorce. So it is in concurrent list, transfer of property, and others. Concurrent list, both state and what we call both state and center have the legislation over them, but there is a big drawback of the concurrent list. What is that? That is repugnancy. ये क्या होता है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्टेट अपना लॉ बनाएगा, सेंट्रल लॉ बनाएगा, if they do not coincide, central's law will prevail and state's law will be repugnant. और या मतलब स्टेट लॉ का खत्म हो जाएगा, वहां पे क्या हो आती है फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी जो सेंटर के पास है, दैट ओवरटेक्स द स्टेट्स लॉज. So it is the one of the drawbacks of the concurrent list. Now we will see the how we can amend the seventh schedule under Article 368 of the Constitution. As usual, by special majority, 2 by 3 members of the House should be present and voting, and also the consent of half of the state legislature by simple majority. पहले तो पार्लियामेंट में कैसे होगा? By special majority, 2 by 3 of the House present and voting, और फिर state legislature, half of the state legislature by simple measure they should vote. So by this way it can be amended. So why strong center? Why do we have now? A question will arise to us: why do we have such a strong center? What was the need for the strong center? Why do we need that? This is very important question, and if to understand this, we have to think of the times when we got our independence. Let's think, let us go back to that time and see what were the situations prevailing there. How uh, how was life going on? What were the political conditions? If we will recap those things, we will understand what was the need of the strong center. So let's discuss that one by one. The first main reason for having the strong center was we saw during 47, we saw the partition episode. So the constitution makers were in fear that this should not happen again. So to have that stability in the country, to we should have, हमें क्या चाहिए था उस वक्त कि we should have a strong center. For that we had strong center. It was an imminent need for strong center, and the choice was made in light of partition to secure the unity of India against separatist tendencies in the future. Suppose let's examine this. Let us discuss over this. we had money after our independence. We won't say that our country was very much stable. Even today, there are states which are not very much stable. Suppose we don't have that strong center. Our suppose our federation was like that of USA, which their federation is coming together. We are holding together. So they came together. If our federation was like that, we don't had that strong center. What would have been the condition of our country right now? I think if that was the case, Jammu and Kashmir would have not been with us. Punjab, they would have not been with us. Northeastern states, they would have not been with us. So our constitution makers knew that what would be the consequences if we will not have the strong center. So to overcome those uh, consequences, they had strong center. Second reason was the princely states problem. What is that? The princely states occurred for 40% of the territory and 30% of the overall population of the subcontinent, and merging them on into a single entity needed a strong center. That time, the population, the percentage, you know, if we will see, mostly the states were princely. They were under what we say. They were under these kings and all that monarchs. All that stuff was going on that time. So 40% was under were princely states. 40% of the population, 30% of the overall population. So to make them come together and to make them to hold together, it was very much necessary for us to have a strong center. If it was not the case, they would have made their different kingdom, their different nation. They would have seceded away from our state. Now the third reason is to enable balanced growth. What is that? At the time of India was among the poorest nations in the world, as we know. It was due to the colonialism, and that our we were we were our resources were depleted by them. They were taken, they were forcefully taken by them. They used for those resources for their benefits, and their for British colonialists, they ruined our economy. if अगर हम सिंपल टर्म्स में अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे तो उन्होंने हमारी इकोनॉमी को एक सोने की चिड़िया से चिड़िया बना दी. फ्रॉम the golden bird we only remained the bird which was hardly able to fly. So to balance this growth we need a strong center. uh, Inclusive growth was needed. Every state we have to take everybody up, from every community, from every sector we have to grow. So this was very much necessary at that time. And as our as we know, our country, it is the most diverse country in the world. Different dialects are there, different religions are living, different races are living in our country. So to unite them, it was very much necessary for us to have a strong center. Then the last point which I had measured here, it is national security and defense, which is very much understood. If it To me, this is the one of the main reasons for having this strong center. So what did we understood from this? Why we needed the strong center? It was because of these, mainly because of these reasons mentioned here. We need the strong center. Now let's move to the next slide. Now, what are the concerns of having a strong center? Everything what we have, everything in this world, from which is considered the best, from which is considered the worst, there are two sides of everything. one is good, one is bad. There are some concerns regarding this having a strong center. So let's discuss what are these. There is unachieved balance of growth. As in last slide we discussed that it was the inclusive growth that was the reason for the strong center. But at the same time, it is not. It is the reason for unbalanced growth, which we were not able to achieve because there are few states which are very much pure, few are very much progressive, which we can see impacts cultural autonomy of a state. This is 100% true. For example, we will take uh, uh, in center, we have strong center. Usually, people are recognized by the language that is understood there. So there are many issues, many cultural autonomies of the states get depressed there. And one more important thing is misplaced entries in the list. There are entries which should have been in the state list. They are in concurrent list. Entries which should have been in the concurrent list. They are in the union list. There are many misplaced, and regarding them, many amendments had been made, and it is still going on. It is still there. Union legislation on on state subjects. Yeah, if a union wants to legislate, what can state do? State is powerless there. That is one of the main problem. If a union finds anything they should legislate on, they can do it, and state has no, state cannot do much about it. And there are many things which should have been kept in. There are things which are in concurrent list. If state wants to legislate anything and repugnancy comes there, center legislates and states laws get repudiated. They become null in front of the central law, and central law prevails. And it is, और एक important बात है ये नहीं है कि state ने पहले बनाया, center ने पहले बनाया, whoever made it first, central's law will prevail. So these are the concerns regarding having strong center. What is the way forward? Let's now let us discuss about little bit about the residuary powers. you these are matters that do not figure in any of the lists. These matters are not either in concurrent list nor in state list nor in union list. They are separately, and residuary powers do come under Article 248. You should know that this might be asked. And you know one important thing about, so center can make laws regarding those residuary powers, and state has no right over them. And these entries are kept uh, in totally different list. And हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि they can include power which is exclusively given to the person. In these lists what we say कि हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि these are powers are which are exclusively given to the center for the state, for the union. It is totally different. So it is very much important. The state has nothing to do here. So what is the way forward? Residuary power should be transferred to concurrent list. One thing, state should be consulted before the union gets union government exercises powers. When union government exercises its powers in the concurrent list, they should consult state. It should be the norm that they should consult state. It was also given in the Sarkaria Commission that it was recommended state should be consulted. Similarly, residuary power should be transferred to Congress. It was also in the Sarkaria Commission. Consulted with the state through interstate council. It was in Venkatachalya Commission recommendation. So this was about our first topic, the seventh schedule. I hope you understood it. Now let's move to the next topic. It is about electoral funding. Why is in why is it in news? Trust me, this year, either in mains or in prelims, there would be question from electoral funding. I I swear upon that that question would be from this topic. So as I mentioned earlier, I had made this PPT way back. So it would mature. In next classes, you would find more adding up of the knowledge in it. More information would be given to you. You just have to wait, and you know you just have to trust me. I would include everything which happened from last 1 year till now. Why is electoral funding in news? Association of Democratic Reform report ADR report more than 50% by unknown sources by to 8 political parties. मतलब कि जो फंडिंग मतलब we all know that कि political parties को फंडिंग की जाती है from private members, from companies, from foreign countries also. They get funds. So what is the concern here that 50% was given by the unknown members, unknown sources, which there is no transparency about it. We don't know who gave them. We have no knowledge about that. So it was in the news. So let us discuss about what are the things which political parties should have to keep in the mind, what they can discuss with us, and what questions we can ask them. Let's discuss about that. तो देखिए जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज है they are not required to reveal the name of the individual. They if they want they can, but they are not required. And or organization who gives them money, how much, less than 20,000, they are not required to tell that name. Neither those who gave them by the electoral bonds. Here I want to pause you for a second that when it comes to the electoral bonds, it was allowed then, but recently Supreme Court, it stated this, no party can accept electoral bonds, and provision of electoral bond has been stopped by the Supreme Court for now. So share from in that which was coming by the unknown sources, 83.4% was only from the electoral bonds. So there was no transparency in it. So let us discuss further what we have. There is no limit on political parties under Section 77 of Representation of People Act 1951 and Conduct of Election Rules 1961. But limits on election expenditure only for candidates. देखिए जो political party है, it is clearly mentioned in Section 77 of Representation of People Act 1961. Representation of Peoples Act 1951. Sorry, I had made a big mistake here. I'm so sorry for that. Representation of People Act 19. So Representation of People Act 1951 and the Conduct of Election Rule 1961. So no limit on political parties, that is one issue. Lack of transparency is there. Political parties are not required to provide source of the funds received by them. As a result, there is no information on donors of political party at the time of elections. Contributions received by the parties are also 100% exempted from income tax. You know what contribution they receive, it is 100%, there is exemption from the income tax. Now let us see what is the impact of such funding. It results in the rise of demand for black money, Parties' preference for candidate who can finance their own elections. They will choose only those candidates who will get more funds. Usually party would choose that candidate whom they will give less money and they can finance their things there. Distorts the level playing field. Criminalization of politics. These are the main impacts of such funding. Additionally, only 0.96% registered unrecognized parties filed their contribution report to ECI. And one more impact in it is that is corporate and political parties nexus. Corporate donations of political parties have been growing significantly also the autonomy provided by electoral bonds further strengthen this nexus. So what is the way forward here? There are few points which I had mentioned. Let's discuss them. We first bring political parties under RTI. That is, political parties should comply the Central Information Commission 2013 order declaring them public authorities under the Right to Information Act of 2005 to be more accountable and transparent. Second, regulate political parties is the need of our a comprehensive bill regulation political parties dealing with the party constitution, organization, internal elections, candidate etc. is the need of the hour. Third, more power to Election Commission of India. Election Commission should be given the power to de-recognize political parties, as Election Commission can recognize but they cannot de-recognize political parties, and impose strict penalties upon the parties in case of non-compliance. Auditing of political parties. Political parties should be required to maintain proper accounts in predetermined account heads, and such accounts should be audited by auditors recommended and provided by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So they should be audited. We should know how much money they are getting. We should know where they are using. It is right to information. It is our right to know about that. So these are the recommendation which should be there. As in our previous in slide, we saw about the electoral bonds. Most of the funding was done by that. Now let us see what are the advantages and disadvantages of that. Let us have a little discussion about that. But trust me, we are definitely going to discuss that in our last class regarding electoral bonds, which would be after 10 to 11 days, 10 to 12 days. We will and within 10 to 12 days we'll end the portion of the political science and governance. Then we will jump to economics, then after to ecology and environment, then to security, then science and tech. These five subjects which are most important related to current affairs, we have to study them, and if time will permit us we will definitely touch the schemes, and I will try to touch uh, some cultural history also in it. So as I was discussing about the electoral bonds, what are the advantages which government mentions usually? Government part, it is very, whichever government it is, whichever political party it is advantageous for them what they mention. It helps the political parties to operate in a more transparent manner. Second, it discourages cash in the election funding. Third, donation through electoral bonds will only be credited to the party bank account disclosed with the ECI. So, and what are the disadvantages of electoral bond? Anonymity does not apply to the government of the day. Yeah, it is very true. It is very much transparent right now. We should know whatever is happening there. Second, electoral bonds indirectly eliminate the 7.5% cap on company donations, which there is 7.5% cap. We will discuss about that definitely in our coming classes. Otherwise, this will take very much time even for this first class, and it is my first class. I don't know how it is going. I don't even know after recording this whether I will upload this or not. Let's see. It's my first try. And the third is voters will not know which individual company or organization has funded which party. We never know. And I don't think this that much concerning personally. This is my personal view here. So now the third topic, which is very hot and which was discussed many times in newspapers, and trust me, a question from election commissioner or election commission is definitely going to come in this exam. So let us see what it is. We will discuss very little here and we will see what was in it. Here, Supreme Court in why it is in news. Barnwal versus Union of in Supreme Court in Barnwal versus Union of India 2023. SC ruled election commissioners and chief election commissioner should be chosen by panel. What was the panel that time? It was CJI plus Prime Minister plus leader of opposition. And what was the second criteria which SC put? They should have permanent secretariat. And this panel which was there, they will advise the president till parliament enacts law, and parliament recently enacted the law in which they made the commission which constitutes prime minister, leader of opposition and union cabinet minister nominated by PM. It is similar to central information commissions and central vigilance commission. So a question might come in your exam, who are the members in the commission who choose the election commissioner and election commissioners who recommend these? So it is PM, leader of opposition and union cabinet minister nominated by PM. It is similar to central information commission and central vigilance commission. I had edited this PPT to the extent which was necessary, and let us see what else we have to discuss in it. So, in last, till now, we discussed the panel for appointment of election commissioner, who are how SC versus Barnwal versus Union of India, what SC ruled in that. So it was discussed, and how government enacted how Parliament enacted the law, and how the commission was made to recommend the members for election commission and election commissioners. Now let us discuss our new topic. It is GST Appellate Tribunal. So let us discuss about the GST Appellate Tribunal. Why is it in news? The Finance Bill 2023 provided for the establishment of the Goods and Service Tax Appellate Tribunal. So more on news. Let's discuss it. In the 49th GST Council meeting, a report of the group of ministers was accepted which recommended for the establishment of Goods and Service Tax Appellate Tribunal. It is the constitution of G State has been pending since 2017, sorry. Finance Bill 2023 amended Section 109 of Central Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. Need for GST. What is the need? Why do we need it? First, there is huge burden on judiciary. Taxpayers are filing writ petitions before High Court and Supreme Courts in the absence of the appellate tribunal. When there is not any appellate tribunal, they will definitely go to the High Court or the Supreme Court for their cases, for the petitions. So if Because of that, there is huge burden on the Supreme Court or High Court. To overcome that burden, we need these appellate tribunals. Second, it is alternate to CSTAT, which is Customs Excise and Service Tax Appellate Tribunal. It played an important role during pre-GST tax regime. Third, validity of GST provisions. The question of transitional provision to the constitution of certain GST provision needs to be addressed. Whether they are certain provisions of the GST, whether they are valid with the constitution or not. This needs to be addressed, and this validates those things, whether they are valid or not. Fourth, it brings efficiency in the council. Everything gets smooth when this is there, and more cases are heard, burden gets less, so it is very efficient. And also it prevents economic loss. As we know, if we will go to the Supreme Court or High Court, we need lawyers there, so it is not very easy for any person to afford a lawyer during these times. They cost way much, trust me. So it would definitely prevent the economic burden, and also it would prevent economic losses. Intra delay in settlement of cases and eventually expose the taxpayer to heavy interests. You know, it would definitely help here. It will hear appeals against the orders passed by the appellate authority or revision or regional or, the revisional authority. It is the duty of the legislature to ensure uniformity in the redressal of disputes arising under GST. Bench, what are the benches here? There is a principal bench and a state bench. What constitutes the principal bench? It shall consist of the president, a judicial member, a technical member from center, a technical member from state. It will be located for the principal bench I am talking here. It will be located in Delhi. Only principal bench shall hear the cases involving the issues of place of supply. Now, second, we have state bench. It shall consist of two judicial members, a technical member center and a technical member state. These are established on the request of the state and the recommendation of the GST Council. Now we will see what is the jurisdiction. Single member. Demand in appealed order up to rupees 50 lakh related to tax, ITC, fine, fee on penalty only, does not involve question of law. One for a state bench, one judicial and one technical member. Demand in appealed order exceeded rupees 50 lakh related to tax, ITC, fine, fee or penalty, etc. involves question of law. Here does not in principal bench, it does not involve question of law. Cases involving issues of place of supply only by principal bench. Let's move to the next slide. Office of Lokpal. It's very important topic. So let's discuss this. Why it was in news? Because parliamentary panel on personal public grievances, law and justice in its report found that Lokpal has not prosecuted a single person for graft till date. Now we should know why Lokpal or Lokayuktas, which are for the states, why they came and what was the purpose of them. The Lokpal is a statutory body, as it was constituted under the Lokpal and Lokyukta Act 2013. Lokpal is for union and Lokyuktas for state. Its aim is to enhance current legal and institutional framework to facilitate better implementation of the obligation outlined in the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Usually whenever you will hear Lokpal or Lokyuktas, you should think of the corruption, they are against them, they are working for the betterment of the society. What is its jurisdiction? Jurisdiction of Lokpal, it can be asked PM, ministers, MPs, Group A, B, C, and D officers. They can, you know, they can, uh, and also under their jurisdiction, chairperson, members, officers, and directors of any board, corporation, society, trust, or autonomous body, either established by an act of parliament or wholly or partly funded by the union or state government, any society or trust or body that receives foreign contributions above 10 lakh. So all these which are mentioned here, it comes under the jurisdiction of Lokpal and Lokuktas. So they are there to watch about, you know, to take care if there is any corruption happening there. So they have these things under their eye, under their jurisdiction. Composition of Lokpal: chairperson and maximum of 8 members, of which 50% shall be judicial members. 50% should be from SC, STs, OBC, minorities, and women. Reservation is here also. Term of office: chairperson and members 5 years or 70 years age, whichever is earlier. This is the composition and term of the office. Appointment by President on the recommendation of selection committee. What is this? Members of the selection committee: PM, leader of opposition, Chief Justice of India, one eminent jurist nominated by President, Speaker of the House of the People. Salary and allowance as CJI and SC judges. जितनी उनकी salary और allowances है उसी तरह इनकी भी. So now let's move to the next. They are, and one important thing, they are not eligible for appointment as a chairperson or as member of the Lok Sabha. Now, one more thing about the regulation of fake news. You know, this is very much in the news these days also, like deep fakes, all that. So let's discuss about this. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology notified the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Amendment Rule 2023. Let's discuss about it. New amendments in IT Rule 2001 define words such as digital media and news and current affairs content. You know, whether it is whoever is posting intermediary, for example, Facebook, or we have other intermediaries, Instagram, we have Google, they have to define, you know, it is to be defined what is digital media, what is current affairs, what is all those. Due diligence: social media intermediaries and telecom service providers have to inform about new rules. You know, they have to inform about it, what is happening, these new rules, what are their amendments. They have to inform these to the users. So nodal contact person 24/7 coordination with the law enforcement agencies and officers to ensure compliance to their orders or requests. Two categories of social media intermediaries and significant social media intermediaries. Fact-checking unit of the Press Information Bureau. Any piece of news that has been identified as fake by the fact-checking unit will not be allowed on online intermediaries. Grievance officer appointed by the intermediary or the publisher. Grievance appellate committee: the central government shall by notification establish one or more grievance appellate committees. What are the amendments defined? Sorry, I had wrote it wrong here. It defined the words such as digital media and news and current affairs content. These amendments. And due diligence is their nodal contact person. Two categories of social media intermediaries and fact checking unit of the Press Information Bureau. Now let us see grievance and issues due to fake online content. What are its issues? Rise number uh, number of fake news which can disturb the country, which can lead to disastrous impact, disturbing social fabric. It can be used by militants and social organization. Reputation of organization can be harmed by fake news. Affecting free and fair election can be affected by making all these fake news. Efforts by the government to counter fake news. IPC Section 505, a broad provision related to statesmen conducting to public mischief, punishes act of the rumor, mongering, and circulating of fake news. Punishment includes imprisonment, which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Second, Delhi Declaration of United Nations Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee. India flagged concerns over increased use of cyberspace and other information communication technologies, including social media. PIB's fact-checking unit is one of the initiatives. It was set up in December 2019, flags news reports and any other information, including on WhatsApp or social media about the government, which in its assessment is fake or misleading. So now I guess this is the last slide of our discussion. It is about enemy property. Why news recently Union Home Ministry has started the process for eviction and sale of the enemy property. Let's see more about it. The guidelines for disposal of enemy properties have been changed, under which the process of eviction of enemy properties now shall be initiated with the help of the district magistrate or deputy commissioner. The process for eviction of enemy property shall be initiated with the help of these guidelines are changed by Ministry of Union Home Ministry. Till now, in today, India has 12,611 establishments of enemy property, of which 12,485 were related to Pakistani nationals and 126 to Chinese citizens. The highest number of enemy properties were found in Uttar Pradesh, followed by West Bengal and Delhi. So this is the out of it was they are vested with the custodian of enemy property of India, CEPI. So this is about the enemy property. You should know about that when you would had studied citizenship in your polity, you would have come through this term. One more thing in it, none of the 12,611 immovable enemy property has been monetized so far by the government till date. So this is all you need to know, and we will discuss these things further. As you know, this is my first lecture here. I won't say first lecture, I would say this is my first discussion here. So I know I made many mistakes, even I realize that, but I will try to improve myself. I don't know whether I will upload it or not. I will see how it went, and after that, if I would find it good, I will upload it. So I'm taking a leave now. If you found it interesting and if you want me to upload these videos continuously, please encourage me by subscribing my channel and by liking the video. And if you don't like it, please don't mention it in the comments, because it will very much discourage me next time. And thank you very much. Goodbye and good night.